So, Creepshow 3. First of all, George Romero and Stephen King had nothing to do with this film at all. It was produced by a separate film company who also did the sequel to Romero's Day of the Dead 2 Contagion. It has nothing to do with the first two. There's no stylistic continuation at all. The only thing it does that is just a little bit smart is that it has a connected universe within itself, a connected world. Other than that, this movie is it's terrible. We're back to 5 stories again, so let's just get started. The first one is called Alice, and it's about a teenage girl named Alice who goes home and finds out her dad was given a universal remote by a street vendor. We later find out is a homeless man, and we also find out that remote actually was created by their neighbor, the professor, and he gave that to the homeless man. But anyway, the dad starts messing with the remote, and he messes with the color contrast, and it turns them black. Except for her, because she's the main character and can't be turned, I guess, other than melting eventually. And then he hits the SAP button, and they all turn Mexican. And there's a conversation they're talking about where, like, she needs a bigger ass or something. The mom keeps saying that the daughter needs a bigger ass. And it's done 3 times. One with the regular mom, one with the black mom, and one with the Spanish mom in Spanish. Eventually, Alice melts. She goes to the professor's house for help. He's not there. She eats his cake and then, like, pukes it up. Goes home and it's restarted. And then the dad hits the button again and she melts down to this weird-looking creature. They chase her out with a gun where she runs into the professor and he turns her into a rabbit, which he names Alice, and they have no idea who Alice is because they just say, "Oh, what a lovely name." That's where this comes from. Also, this film starts with the shittiest animation you ever see. This is 2006. The next one's called The Radio, and it's about a man named Jerry who lives in an apartment building, and outside the apartment building has the homeless man who's giving out the items. And so, the radio is about Jerry, who gets this radio that's sentient and tells him where to find some money. He gets the money, but someone sees him with the shoebox, and the radio is convinced this guy's going to try to steal it from him. But the guy reassures her, "No, I'm fine." But he's going to get robbed. The guy shows up, he kills the guy, and then then Jerry decides he's going to run off with this prostitute that lives with the building with the pimp who lives in the building. And so they go to run off together. He destroys the radio, only for them to be shot by the prostitute, who is then shot by the pimp, who has his own boombox version of the radio, and now he has the money. Yeah, the next one is called Call Girl, and it's about a murderous call girl who has a website where you can call her and make appointments to have sex with her. And yet no one's caught her. And they say she's only killed men, but they somehow know it's a call girl. She kills a homeless woman and then goes to meet this person who's called her Victor. And they could have been clever here if they just panned over the pictures and shown that he wasn't in them and not panned back into the other room to show the dead bodies. But instead, we know something's going to happen because she outright says, "Oh, I don't see you're in any of these pictures." And he just points out, "Oh, my family doesn't like me very much." And then we see the dead bodies. We know something's up. So then he says his fantasy is to be tied to the bed and blindfolded. After she does that, she kills him and then takes a shower in his house, which... that's a whole bunch of stuff I'm not going to get into. But why would you be so stupid? Why would you be so stupid? Why? If you dry your hair, you could leave some behind. Fingerprints and stuff, no. But, surprise, the guy's a monster and kills her anyway. Yeah, the next one's called The Professor's Wife, and it's by far the stupidest one. Well, the most ridiculous anyway. And it's about the professor from the first one, who is getting married, and he invites two of his smartest students. I gotta tell you, I gotta push that out there to you. They are his smartest. They are two of his smartest students. Let me say it one more time. Two of his smartest students. Smartest. So, they're there because the professor has been working on this experiment for 20 years. Won't tell anybody what it is, and he's going to finally reveal it. He goes out. He introduces his future wife, and this is where you are the geniuses, because you can figure out right away that she's just a mail-order bride, mostly because she has an accent, and that makes more sense than anything. So, Professor leaves to go get a cake, which doesn't make any sense because the cake would have already been there and Alice already ate it, because we see the rabbit Alice at the beginning of this. But anyway, after he leaves, they decide that the wife is the experiment, that she's a robot. So they decide to take her apart. And the two smartest students in his class don't figure out until they find a folder containing the fact that she's a mail-order bride, despite the fact that there's blood everywhere. They can't find any circuits. There's a real brain, but they could use that because they're fucking stupid. My God. What? Two of his smartest students couldn't figure. Then they try to hide the body parts when he comes back, resulting in the professor finding the body parts. Eventually, he goes back to the street vendor to get a voodoo book. And now we get the last one, Haunted Dog, which is the stupidest. So, this guy, he's an asshole. We know he's an asshole because he's an asshole. And he gets asked by this homeless guy for some food. The guy goes, no, but good thoughts, good thoughts. And he buys a hot dog, but then he drops it on the ground. It gets gravel on it, so he gives it to the homeless guy. The homeless guy starts to eat the hot dog, and he chokes on it. At least he would have if the hot dog had stayed in his mouth. Because for some reason, either they didn't catch it or they were too lazy to reshoot it. During this scene, when he's choking on a hot dog, the piece of the hot dog he's supposed to be choking on falls out of his goddamn mouth. Falls out of his mouth. I'm not kidding. Watch it. It falls out of his mouth, and he's just sitting there choking on nothing. Are you that fucking lazy that you don't reshoot this scene? Or you just think, oh, they won't see it? Or you just didn't see it, and you gotta be really fucking stupid as those guys in the last one. Anyway, this guy's choking. There's a million people gathered around this guy, and yet there's someone, we need a doctor, and we're supposed to think that this asshole main character we're following deserves to be followed by the ghost of this guy because he's a doctor and didn't do anything to save this guy. It makes no sense to me. Mostly because there were like 50 people, at least 20 people surrounding him that could have done something. You don't need to be a doctor to save someone's life. Believe me, you don't need to be a doctor to save someone's life. And yet, this story is written that because this guy, who is a doctor, is not the one, did not try to save this guy's life, he's haunted by this guy's ghost and deserves to be. And he ends up dead because the guy gets so distracted he gets hit by a car and killed. Now, this guy was an asshole, believe me. But to say he deserves to die because he didn't save this guy because he was the only doctor around makes no sense to me. It's absolute bullshit. Anyway, we end with a scene that has the professor getting married to a put back together bride brought back to life by voodoo. And yeah, it ends with the worst kind of animation on her face ever. This sucks. This sucks. I recommend the first one. I even recommend the second one. You know it's not as good as the first one. I recommend those. Do not watch it. This movie's terrible. I give it a 1. A 1. I give it a 1. This sucks, man. You're going from the great quality of the first one and the alright quality of the second one to this? No. This is a disgrace. It should not be called Creepshow. Gets a 1. So what are your thoughts on Creepshow? If you don't know in the comments below, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.